Okay, so before we move on with the statue, we can work a little bit with hue saturation. So go to Image, Adjustments, and Hue Saturation for the smudge tool effect that we created. Yeah, I like this one. Okay, now we can decrease the lightness on these black and white stripes. So one way to do that is to create a new layer and go to Brush tool, change the size, and just apply a black color on it. Now you go to Layer, create clipping mask, so it applies only on the below layer, which is the smudge tool. And now we can just decrease the opacity. Yeah, so it creates a good contrast between the smudge tool and the stripes below. Okay, so now let's get the statue. I'm copying this and let's paste it somewhere in the middle. Let's rename this statue, and now we are going to remove the background. You can use this quick selection tool, but I would suggest to use pen tool to cut pictures or to remove the background because it is more accurate. So the way to do that is make sure you are on the statue layer and click on a point, and then click on another point. You can hold to create curves like that, and then release and go to another point, so we can create the shape of the statue and remove the background. Okay, so now we are going to close the path. Click on it, and now right click, make selection, click OK, and just Command Control C, Command Control V. Now let's uncheck the below layer. Let's make a copy of this just in case we need it. So hold Alt key and drag this up. Let's rename this statue. And now we are going to work with the adjustments on it to make it like on this example right here. So first let's start with brightness and contrast. So go on this icon right here and go on brightness and contrast. Let's increase the contrast. As you can see, it increases the contrast on all the poster. We needed to increase it only on our statues. So go to Layer, create a clipping mask, and it will apply the adjustments only on the below layer, which in this case is the statue. Now let's create another adjustment layer. We can create curves. Now on curves we have RGB, red, green, and blue. And we have this line right here, which if we change it, it creates like highlights or contrast on our image. We can change the position of this point, create other points. So basically we will kind of be we will create like extreme curves to get some highlights from the picture. So just play around with all these to create some highlights. Yeah, so basically I just played around with all these curves, and as you can see, it creates all these colors from the statue. If you want, you can get the same or similar curves to these. You can check this out. Now let's create another adjustment layer like hue saturation. Let's increase the saturation. And now we are going to make this black and white. So we just needed these highlights, not the colors. So go to adjustments and go to black and white. And how this works is you have all these colors, red, yellow, and all other colors, and each of them has a level like 40 right here. And if you change that on the picture, it changes the part of the picture which has a red color to grayscale. So just I'm just going to play around with these just to create some contrast, and maybe you can get the same levels as mine, but I would say just see what looks better with your picture, because you may have different highlights, so you maybe are not going to get the same results as mine. Now I'm going to make a copy of this statue. So hold key and drag it, make sure it applies that clipping mask. And I'm going to apply the posterize effect. So go to image, adjustments, posterize, and let's make this like 7 maybe. Let's see what looks better. I think I'm going with 8. Click OK. Maybe we can decrease the lightness, so let's create a new layer, new adjustment layer, hue saturation, and decrease the lightness. Don't worry if it looks too dark, because we are going to apply some gradients on the highlights. So let's go and do that. So create a new layer, and we need to select the highlights of this statue. So go to select, color range, and let's select this gray color right here. So make sure on the select you have these sampled colors, and now you can play around with the fuzziness. Click OK, and let's go to gradient tool, and let's apply the gradient. Okay, now let's deselect. You can play around with mode, maybe make it overlay. Yeah, overlay looks good, I think. Now let's see our example to understand better what we are going to do next. Okay, so after we applied some highlights, we can add these kind of lights on the eyes of the statue. So let's zoom in to see the eye part. Maybe we can uncheck this for a while just to see better the highlights. Yeah, now let's create a new layer. And I'm not going to be precise by using pen tool. I'm just going to use brush tool. Let's decrease the size and just paint on the eye part. Let's zoom out, and we need to select this layer. So click Command Control and click on, by holding click Command Control, you click on the layer. As you can see, that selection icon appears. So just click on it and it selects the layer. Now go to gradient tool, and we are going to apply a gradient to it. Okay, now let's deselect. Let's change the mode to maybe like lighter color or something like color dodge. Yeah, now let's check again the adjustment layers. Maybe I can increase a little bit the lightness on this one. Let's make a copy of this eye layer by holding Alt key and dragging. Let's change the mode to lighter color, and let's change the opacity. Yeah, I think it looks okay. Now the next step is to work with some geometric shapes or add some text to it and other elements. So see you on the next video.